Alex, what do you think? Most accurate tagline ever?
What's the tagline?
It's whoever wins, we lose.
Not really.
Oh, the we in that sentence is the audience.
Oh, I thought it was talking about humanity. Clearly, it's better for us if the predators win and not the aliens.
Well, you know what they say about the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah, they're my friend, right?
That's what they say.
Together here.
There you go. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today we are discussing one of my most hated movies ever, Alien vs. Predator.
We just missed each other at this time this movie was released, right? Like, I think we became friends, like, a couple years after this thing got released.
I think, like, maybe 2 or 3 after this, yeah.
Yeah, it was close. I really wish I had been there when you saw this for the first time. I would have enjoyed, like, experiencing the rage coming off your body.
Well, maybe some of our listeners will get a little bit of that rage today as we go through this episode. I might be as angry as you were when we watched fucking Invasion USA a few weeks ago.
I did get heated. I'd also had a 6-pack of delicious beer while watching that one. But
well, funny you mentioned beer because the ones we're drinking today might put us both in a bit of a similar state here. What do we got for our little pairing today, Noel?
Yeah, this one's pretty fun. We're going to be drinking a beer called Between Two Evils.
We're drinking how many beers, sorry?
Well, 2 beers. We've got 2 beers here. There are 2 evils in our movie, the aliens and the predators. And if you've seen this movie before, the scientists decide to get themselves in between them, and it does not go well for them. And I'm just going to spoil that right away. So we have a perfect connection between 2 evils. This is a Imperial Stout from the Dominion City Brewing Company. So I'm excited to try this. We've got 2 10% stouts that we're both going to consume right now. One of them is barrel-aged Imperial Stout with coffee, and the other is a barrel-aged Imperial Stout with coffee, vanilla, and coconut. So the one is called Rich and Robust, and the other is Rich and Creamy. So I'm excited to see this.
Okay, and where is Dominion City?
This is out of Ottawa. So another brewery from our nation's capital. We have found quite a few beers from the breweries there. They have quite a robust brewing culture in Ottawa. This one has been around for a decade, and they're really about building community. They make sure all of their employees get paid a living wage, and they donate and work with charities. They use all local ingredients and work with the local farmers and producers. So they seem to have built a really, really cool brewing space, like a place that, as you make fun of me for being woke, one that I would like to be a part of if I were in the Ottawa area, right? This is sort of one of those places that I can really get behind. They have a huge range of beers, but like looking through their stuff, definitely IPAs and stouts kind of take the main area of their brewing. They do have pilsners and blondes and other beers there too, though. So they have a huge selection.
Cool, man. Well, I am not a huge fan of a lot of Imperial beers, but we're going to give these 2 different stouts a try. I'm looking forward to the vanilla coconut one because I love coconut, and hopefully that helps kind of, cut a little bit of the heat for me, but we'll see when we crack them open. You want to get into these?
Absolutely. I'm hopeful that these are going to be delicious. I also expect that I'll be slurring most of my words by the time we get to the rating on this movie.
Well, they'll definitely be easier to swallow than this movie was, so why don't we crack them open and get started?
Let's do it. That packs a punch.
So after the 20th Century Fox fanfare, we get the titles in what starts out as the Predator language, then it unscrambles into English before we fade in on a large, dark, pointed object that appears to be some kind of spaceship. They keep it ambiguous for a minute before the camera angle changes, and we see that it's actually a satellite in low Earth orbit, a Weyland Industries satellite. No surprise there since this is an alien movie. But what was a surprise, at least for me, was the year 2004. I had completely forgotten this movie takes place in the present, or rather the present at the time the movie came out.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting some pretty, 2000 cinematography here, right? The shots are coming from underneath this Weyland satellite. I like that you brought up that connection to the Alien movies. That's good. It feels very much like 2004. They are nailing it here. Both the graphics that are coming on the screen and the sort of, shots and sounds that we're getting here.
Yeah, I was going to say the title fonts and stuff were very 2000s in the way those came out. Things are going fine for that satellite and its mission until a warning suddenly sounds that an unidentified heat signature has been detected. This prompts a short but hilariously stereotypical conversation at the Mission Tracking Center.
What is it?
It's a data stream from PS-12.
Where is she? right above Sector 14.
There isn't anything in Sector 14.
There is now.
I mean, they're just following a playbook here, right? How to make things ominous.
Yeah, switch over to the nerds who are watching some computers and then throw out some random sort of things that pop up on the map that aren't supposed to be there. You're right. This is very much a PBN ominous situation here.
Oh, there it is.
It's coming
You're
out.
painting by numbers already, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, as anyone who's seen this kind of movie knows, whenever anything mysterious is discovered, it's time to start calling in the experts. And so our next couple of scenes are Weyland Industries doing just that. First, we meet Alexa Lex Woods, an environmentalist and mountaineer played by Santa Lathan from Love and Basketball. Remember her? And up next, we've got an archaeologist named Sebastian De Rosa, who is currently trying to locate an Aztec burial chamber in Mexico. And those are the only two who get their own recruitment scenes, which pretty much lets you know that every other character we meet in a second is absolutely going to die.
They are not stretching your imagination here. They're not trying to trick you or plan anything. This is not them trying to create a mystery here. This is them setting up exactly who the people are who are going to fight for survival in a battle between aliens and predators.
Oh yeah, they're laying it all out here. And after a very obvious shot of a magazine cover featuring Charles Bishop Weyland, which is both an unsubtle way of setting up his character and some huge fan service to the alien crowd, we start meeting our other characters as Lex arrives on the icebreaker ship that will transport them all to the site of the mysterious heat signature from earlier, including chemical engineer Graham Miller, who is played by noted Scottish character actor Ewan Bremner, and who pulls out a picture of his two kids back home, so R.I.P. that guy.
So I didn't know he was a noted Scottish actor. I did sort of...
You've seen him in stuff, though, right? Come on.
I'm sure I have. I kind of recognize him. Oh, is he?
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
absolutely.
Barrels.
Yeah. So he became, to me, the Scottish comic relief, right? Like, I was like, we're in a horror movie, an action horror movie, and we need the comic relief. And now we know we've got the Scot who can do it.
Yeah, he's real twitchy and nervous, but he plays up those kids so hard. And I'm like, this dude is fucking headed for the grave 100%. We also get to meet the man himself, Charles Bishop Weyland, who explains that he has assembled this team to investigate what was discovered at the site of that heat signature, a large pyramid-shaped structure.
My experts tell me it's a pyramid.
Because apparently they understand shapes. That was his big reveal.
That kind of was the big reveal. Right before he gets revealed, we meet the guy, and we kind of meet him a little bit earlier, who is organizing the party for Weyland. I must say, this man has one of the best voices I have ever heard in my life. This guy can carry a line.
Now, we've seen him before. Did you recognize him or no?
No, I didn't know where he was from.
Die Another Day. He's in 3 or 4 Pierce Brosnan Bond movies as one of M's lieutenants kind of at MI6. Yeah. He's got a great voice, I agree.
Makes sense. Yeah, his voice is legendary. That guy would be just an incredible voice actor, although he's a handsome man too, so he pulls off the screen as well. You're right. It is kind of hilarious that his big introduction is a pyramid, and what's even more hilarious is it's a pyramid that represents 3 different Earth cultures.
Well, yeah, I was making fun of those experts for spotting that pyramid earlier. But what is unique about this structure, we learned, is that it does involve design elements from, like you said, 3 different civilizations, the Aztec, Cambodian, and Egyptian, which throws into question who built it and when. Now, archaeologist Sebastian has a theory about that.
This might be the first pyramid ever built.
But built by whom?
By the first civilization.
And I will begrudgingly admit, I do like that this ties in some of the theories that the pyramids were built by aliens, or in this case, predators, not aliens. Key distinction.
Yeah, well, predators are aliens. They're not from the Earth.
In this movie. They're predators.
Not from the Earth. They're not from the Earth.
Yeah.
But they are not the aliens in
You have
question.
to admit, it's a little confusing, right?
It's very, very confusing, right?
Yeah.
They're both extraterrestrials. One of them, apparently, is the predators are building pyramids and moving along human evolution. And the other aliens are an invasive species that needs to get released every 100 years so that the predators can prove they are still badasses.
That is true. Now, we all learn that later, but for now, we just get some details on this plan. And the plan is as follows. They're going to drill down 2,000 feet below the ice and get right inside this place to investigate and collect samples. But Santa Lathan isn't having any of it. According to her, it would take this crew 13 weeks at least to get properly trained for this journey, which is time that Weyland isn't going to give them. She also points out that this island is in the middle of nowhere, which means they'd have no help nearby if they run into trouble. You know, as opposed to all those other parts of Antarctica that are super accessible.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really easy to get to. It's very, very temperate. Don't worry about needing gear or things to stay alive.
Lots of roads, hospitals nearby.
Food
for sure.
access wherever you need it. It's a perfect place to put a pyramid. It's just the best place to put the first pyramid ever.
Well, but they do say later, Sebastian's got like a sidekick who kind of looks like a poor man's Kiefer Sutherland. And they mentioned that like Antarctica used to be not icy at all, according to some historians, what they believe. So once upon a time, it may have been like a lush, fertile land. But the point is, right now, it's dangerous, this particular island, so they shouldn't go there. Either way, Lex tells Weyland to find a new guide and walks out of this meeting, but we know she's going to end up doing it. And sure enough, after learning that her replacement is severely underqualified and getting guilted by Graham and Sebastian about essentially leaving them to die, we know that she'll definitely be joining the party after all. Also joining the party will be 3 predators whose ship we see orbiting the Earth, and also beaming something down to the surface. Some blue light shoots out of the ship and right to the pyramid site. We find out what it is later, but somehow this extremely big, bright laser-looking thing that fills up the sky goes totally unnoticed by the whole Weyland team. Explain that to me.
They're too busy arguing about who's going to keep them alive once they get to this island to notice that giant light. This is the predators creating space for them to get down to that pyramid, and that's very lucky for the human scientists who were there to research it.
Well, as it turns out, yeah. But it's gear up time right now, and as the crew gathers around to hear Lex's instructions, we get a closer look at a couple of team members. There's a tough-looking dude who's taking things very seriously, and a short-haired blonde lady who can confer as some sort of soldier/security type, at least from this exchange where Lex spots her loading up a gun.
7 seasons on the ice, and I've never seen a gun save someone's life.
I don't plan on using it.
Then why bring it?
Same principle as a condom. I'd rather have one and not need it than need it and not have one.
And I had this thought the first time I saw this, and I'm watching it again now, it confirmed it for me. They are just squeezing in the absolute bare minimum of character development here. They even tell us this lady's name, because they definitely don't do it in this scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never learned her name.
No, me neither.
I never figured out who she was. I thought it was pretty funny, the metaphor that they set up here. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, which is not great, really, because I am definitely fairly anti-gun. So that was sort of like a funny... But if you're heading on a random, like, expedition and you don't know what to expect there could be wild animals, I am all for bringing that gun along to keep yourself safe.
But is she also bringing condoms? That's the question.
No, unless they are...
No, you don't think so?
Unless she's bringing a bunch of the dams, I don't think she's bringing any condoms.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, Jesus. That Sebastian guy at least gets a bit more backstory in the next scene as he and Lex have a flirty conversation where he casually mentions that the moon they're seeing that night is what they called a hunter moon in his childhood home of Italy. A hunter's moon, get it? And our pyramid location gets some more backstory too, or rather the old abandoned whaling station that the pyramid is buried under does. Apparently the crew mysteriously vanished in 1904. Everyone has disappeared overnight. That's weird. You know what else is mysterious? A perfectly cut tunnel heading right to the base of the pyramid that definitely wasn't there yesterday. Now we know that's from that blue light that came to the sky, but the humans have no idea. And I don't know, but if I'm running this operation, maybe at this point you just bail, you know? In some warning signs, right?
One, it's funny that they brought up the hunter's moon. Obviously, they're trying to pay tribute
just laying it out
to predators being hunters and doing their thing, right? And it's coming here. I think it's interesting they find this abandoned whaling station and that it's right on top. I also think it's hilarious that they're saying the architecture and the equipment and all of that stuff that is at this place is from 1904 because it
seemed too advanced, didn't it?
Way more advanced than 1904. Okay. I was like...
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just me. There's shit like spray painted on the walls and like...
It's way beyond what was possible in Antarctica in 1904. I don't understand at all. Like even the like advanced sort of water systems and some of the other stuff they have in there, I was blown away. I was like, what the fuck? How can any of this be from 1904? It shouldn't have bothered me as much as it did, but it bothered me a lot Just like you said, that blue light that got shut down, I had missed, or I don't know what I was doing when I was watching it, had created that hole. I did pick up here that that hole was new and it wasn't there a day before. And like you said, they probably should have walked away. What I didn't understand, though, was they were ready with technology to drop down that hole. They had it ready so that they could, I guess they were going to create their own hole anyways.
Yeah, they had a drilling team. They were going to drill. They mentioned some drilling guys earlier. Now, I mentioned bailing a second ago, but as it turns out, Charles Weyland will never bail, and we see why in our next scene, as Lex catches him taking a deep breath from some kind of oxygen inhaler and correctly identifies him as being terminally ill. She tries to talk him out of coming by telling the harrowing story of her dad breaking his leg climbing Mount Rainier, but insisting they make it to the top, then developing a blood clot and dying on the way back down. Unfortunately for Lex, the story's punctuation mark, how they celebrated at the summit with what would end up being her first and last drink with her father, has the opposite effect, as Weyland tells her,
You think that's the last thing your dad remembers? The pain? Or drinking champagne with his daughter 14,000 feet in the air?
talked herself right out of that one, didn't she?
She absolutely did. Now, I didn't remember while watching this whether I knew about Weyland's illness or not before. Is this something I should know connected to the Alien movies, or do I just assume he has tuberculosis?
I don't know. The big connection to the Alien movies is it's the same actor who played the character Bishop, the synthetic, and that is obviously his middle name. Now, what I don't remember is whether any of this was mentioned in the Alien movies, that like that synthetic was based on Charles Weyland. It might have been. I don't recall. So like either way, it's either like a nice bit of continuity or just fan service. I mean, nice to see Lance Henriksen again, though we summoned Pumpkinhead earlier this year. He's a good actor.
Yeah, I wasn't upset to see Lance there. He does a good job playing his role here. He's struggling with this puffer, though. He's clearly got a whole bunch of lung issues going on here as he's like aggressively huffing this thing to make his way through the story. They're definitely going to have to drag him along here.
Well, they almost don't have to, though, because on the way down to this pyramid, his cable snaps and Lex has to catch him with her like ice pick, so he almost bites it early. But the team does, in fact, make it down to the pyramid, where they find no equipment, no other team. In other words, there's no evidence of who or what made that tunnel. Now, they're going to get answers for that real soon, though, as we see the Predators land on the Arctic ice, which I'm guessing means bad news for the surface team. And sure enough, we see them get absolutely slaughtered in a minute.
Yeah. They were definitely expecting another human team at the base of this hole, right? They were thinking that someone else, even though they hadn't seen any ships or equipment or anything, had kind of beat them here. And when they get down there and find nothing, you would assume their instinct is, we're pretty fucked. I don't know if we should keep moving. But that's not where the crew goes. They're like, oh, lucky us. Nobody else is here, and this hole is a miracle.
How convenient that this giant, perfectly formed hole was here. They blow through so many fucking red flags in this. It's shocking. Back at the pyramid, Weyland, Lex, and company climb the massive steps where they notice a couple of things. First, giant statues of what we know are predators on either side of the entrance. And second, carvings on the walls that seem to depict those same predators in battle with what are clearly alien xenomorphs. Unfortunately, what they don't notice is one guy stepping on a stone that slowly sinks into the ground, thus triggering the mother of all booby traps. Literally.
It triggers the mother.
Yeah.
The actual pyramid is quite cool, very reminiscent of what I would say a like Aztec pyramid would look like from the exterior, but with predator statues and stuff. I'm not hating the set design that they've created here or the kind of space. This is all fairly enjoyable. The people they've put there and the reasons why they're there are kind of unbelievable, but in terms of getting them to this kind of cool pyramid and battle space, I mean, I know you're angry and about to get even more angry as we move through this movie, but the first chunk of this is fairly palatable.
Well, yeah, I'm not that upset yet because the pyramid setup, it is kind of, I get upset with the pyramid later. I mentioned the mother of all booby traps. The gears of this pyramid pull a full-on alien queen body out of a deep freeze, and we see it slowly start to move before letting out a roar. And as if that wasn't ominous enough, Sebastian finds some ancient symbols that translate to only the chosen ones may enter. But despite these warnings, not only do they enter, they head right to the sacrificial chamber. It's like they're asking to die.
I actually thought that the alien awakening, the mother, the sort of scream in Maw, was pretty well done in terms of effects and sound and stuff. I actually quite liked it. I thought it was cool.
Do you know why you feel that way?
Why?
Because it was practical effects. They built a moving thing. It wasn't fucking CG. It's a real thing, except for the tail. The tail, as we see later, is clearly CG, but the actual body, they constructed a model, which makes a huge difference.
No, absolutely. I am genuinely, when I see that mother come out, not unexcited about where we are.
I remember feeling that way too, man. I remember feeling that way too. Now, the Weyland crew discovers some more key pieces of information in this sacrificial chamber. There's several dead bodies that at first glance appear to have had their hearts removed, only it's not quite the right location. Plus, their rib cages are bent outward, not in. There's ancient symbols right beside the bodies that translate to, they gave their lives so the hunt could begin. And there's an air shaft leading to a lower level that is literally marked with a picture of an alien. Now, that just seems gratuitous.
I did find some of the like hieroglyphs or language or interpretation a little bit much. They were definitely making it very clear for the audience. We know the humans are being led down to this chamber so that they can get impregnated with the aliens and this hunt can actually begin.
Well, of course, but because Charles Weyland is so rich that he thinks he's invincible, he ignores the many, many warning signs that insist they head down to the lower level. But they leave a few people behind to catalog the stuff in the sacrificial chamber, including that short-haired lady and Sebastian's right-hand man, who earlier I mentioned looks like a poor man's Kiefer Sutherland. Once the main crew reaches the lower level, they find what appears to be a sarcophagus, only one that features a kind of combination lock based off the Aztec calendar. Now, the date on the calendar reads 1904. Hey, wasn't that when all those guys mysteriously disappeared from that whaling station? How is this not sounding giant alarm bells for them?
It should be. I mean, everything should have set off a bunch of alarm bells, but they are so focused on the pursuit of knowledge here, and it's being led so hard by an anthropologist who has such a hard-on for solving puzzles that it doesn't matter that 100 years ago everyone was killed in this location.
That precise location at the date set on that coffin.
Yeah, they absolutely should know. But his understanding of the metric system in the Aztec calendar is going to become key really quickly, and we're going to find out he's able to help them get through some of what's going to happen before he lives or dies. I'm not going to spoil it.
Well, that is true. He sets the combination locks to that day's date, 10/10/2004, and the sarcophagus opens to reveal 3 of those shoulder cannons the Predators use. Now, because I'm a huge Predator nerd, I will tell you they are called plasma casters.
I was pretty excited that happened. I was also excited that it happened to be my birthday when it went on.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah. I was like, shit. If I was there, I would be turning 1 year older as I'm about to get murdered by a predator or an alien.
I was going to say it'd be your last birthday, yeah.
I mean, unless I have plot armor, and then maybe I might survive. It's possible.
Yeah, you never know. Charles Weyland starts coughing, so Lex tells the crew it's time to wrap it up for the day, which gives us a surprise measuring contest between her and Weyland's right-hand man.
Well, you can go back to the base camp, Miss Woods, but we're staying here.
No. You wanted to leave without proper prep. We did. You wanted to be the first ones here. We are. You've claimed the find. It's yours. Now we move as a team, and we're done for the day.
You heard her.
Santa Lathan whipping it out. It's too bad her speech didn't mention anything about not touching those Predator guns, huh?
I mean, she did argue that they shouldn't fuck with them, but of course they don't listen to her. Super sweet voice. The right-hand man of Weyland wants to stay. He pulls out a pretty sick gun and he's like, we're protecting these artifacts. These are ours. Why did we come here if we're not taking them out of here? Little does he know they are going to be key for the survival of all humanity.
Yeah, man. Now, you said that Lex is the only one who tries to stop them. That's not true. Sebastian also tries to warn them once they start taking the first couple out, but Weyland's guy pulls them all out anyway, which activates a series of trapdoors, shifting staircases, and stone barriers that will basically force them all into different parts of the pyramid. Think of it as like a Rube Goldberg machine for shitty movie action.
Yeah, we're about to get everyone kind of compartmentalized, right? They're going to get separated into different spots and everyone's going to survive. We know from watching horror movies that separating is not a good idea, and the basic sort of architecture of this pyramid is going to force that on the scientists and people who are visiting. So it's going to be bad. It kind of reminds me of Cube. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
That's a movie we could talk about in this podcast, eh?
Yeah, maybe we could go back there. We've never done Cronenberg, but there's a lot we could probably
Sphere. Are you thinking of Sphere?
Okay, maybe I'm thinking the wrong one, but
Sphere's real bad.
yeah, there's a lot of movies that sort of take that like space and move it, and then people get stuck in different spots and go there, and we're kind of stuck there here. Now we get split into separate teams. We've got the UK team. That's the team of our Scottish guy and our, what did you describe him as? The poor man's who?
No, poor man's Kiefer Sutherland's in the sacrifice chamber with the short-haired chick.
Ooh, that's right.
Scottish guy, Ewan Bremner, Graham Miller's his character's name. He gets caught with...
He gets caught with the guy who I thought was the Boondock Saints guy. Maybe I was getting that confused.
Yeah, and he's been in something else we saw, I think, too. He's the one that was really serious earlier, that tough-looking guy. He gets caught with Graham. A different guy named Connors. He's totally on his own for now. I mean, he dies real quick. And then all of the main characters are in a different place by themselves. So if you're making bets on who's going to make it out of here, wouldn't it be that last group?
Oh, of course.
Like at least split the main characters up a little bit so we have some suspense here. Like, come on.
This movie's not about suspense. This is about hunters getting their fucking kill, man. That's what we're going to see here. We are going to see the predator come and be the ultimate hunter. These scientists, these humans who are here, they are only there so aliens can be born.
Well, and we're going to see them be born real soon because in the sacrificial chamber where that short-haired lady and Kiefer are, a bunch of alien eggs rise up through these pillars in the center of the room. And before you know it, the face huggers are flying, literally flying through the air and attaching themselves to everyone in the room. So bad news for Kiefer and bad news for that short-haired lady as an alien fetus bursts through her chest in record time. Now, you mentioned the predators. They barely fucking make it in this pyramid. They see things start moving. They got to run to get in there. And thank God they do. Otherwise, it would have been a real short movie. Wait, what am I saying?
So we get a lot of attention on that woman who you described, the short-haired woman earlier, and they're trying to sort of almost do a little deflection here because she wakes up and doesn't have the head crab on her face. She sees everybody else in that sacrificial chamber with one on their face, and it looks like she may have killed hers before everything went wrong. But like you said, unfortunately not. We see her as the first person impregnated, and that alien bursts from her like we know from the previous Alien series. And now things are alive, right? We've got a mother producing eggs, and now we have the face... What did you call them? Face
huggers.
Okay, so they remind me of head crabs from Half-Life. The face huggers have grabbed a bunch of humans and started reproducing, and we know that it's going to be hard to stop this cycle. And like you said, it's lucky for us the predators are coming and coming fast.
Yeah, but I should point something out here, which is that this cycle, as you just called it, is moving insanely fast, like way faster than it has in any other Alien movie. The speed at which she gets thing attached to her and then detaches and then she fucking for lack of a better term, births it is insanely quick. And those aliens are full grown in like 10 seconds. Because we mentioned the three kind of groups split off earlier. That fucking Connors guy gets aliened immediately. Same with the tough-looking guy who's with the Scottish guy after he falls through a trap door. Followed quickly by that Scottish guy who gets grabbed immediately. But, as we see in a second, it's Weyland's right-hand man who really gets some special treatment. A predator shoots a metal net at him, which tightens until the metal is slicing through his skin. Now he tries to block it with his rifle. Before we can see if that would work, the predator runs him through with a spear. Now, that just leaves Lex, Sebastian, and the very sick Weyland against three predators. But luckily, an alien shows up and kills one of them, but not before giving us the iconic shot of the two of them staring each other down. Well, it would have been iconic if this movie didn't suck donkey balls.
You just poured through 30 minutes of this movie in about...
No, man, it's 3 minutes. This all goes insanely fast. 90% of the humans are dead in 30 seconds.
I guess that's kind of true. I feel like it was a little bit rushed here, but I know that we're getting to the point that is going to drive you the most insane. I'm actually excited that we're moving away from these shitty scientists looking at this pyramid and not having any answers, or having all the answers for no reason. And then we're going to have battles between the predators and the alien. I was slightly surprised when that alien punctured the predator's chest with its tail to stop sort of the murder of all the humans. It was a bit of an exciting and interesting moment in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. There's something here, but the pace is weird, and if I'm being honest, I think this is what you're referencing. The Predators don't do so well against the alien. I have really mixed feelings about that. Like, on the one hand, there are some exciting sequences and interesting strategic parts of the hand-to-hand combat, but then there's the parts that give it that kind of Man of Steel CG vibe where Superman and General Zod are just throwing each other through buildings and it seems really fake. Also, like I was kind of saying a second ago, is it my imagination or are the Predators basically useless with their shoulder cannons? This one alien takes out 2 of them in like 3 minutes, so we're down to 1 Predator only. I was not happy about that.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that. Rewatching it, I was wondering how much of your anger was because the alien was dominating the Predators, right? Like, that single alien takes out 2 Predators, no problem. Like, it's not even a challenge. To me, that just made me sense that the 2 Predators that got taken out were kind of bitches, right? Like, they weren't good Predators.
I mean, it is supposed to be a rite of passage, and I guess those 2 didn't fucking pass. But yeah, man, that just leaves 1, and that 1 Predator does catch up to Lex, Sebastian, and Weyland pretty quickly. And despite Lex's promise,
Weyland, I'm not gonna let you die down here.
You didn't.
the Predator kills Weyland after daring to turn its back on him. How dare he?
So I actually thought this was kind of funny. We see 3 Predators, 2 of them get dummied really quick, and the one that's left seems like a bit of a badass, right? Like, we're getting more into the character of this Predator. He ignores the shit out of Weyland, right? He does a full scan. He noticed that Weyland is dying. And he's like, Grandpa, I'm not killing you. You're too gone for me to kill you. And Weyland takes offense, right? He turns his puffer into a flamethrower and tries to burn the Predator, but it does not go well for him.
Oh no, the Predator kills him immediately. So he does at least earn the Predator's respect, I guess. It does in fact kill him. And Lex and Sebastian managed to get away. And that's a good thing too, as we see, like you said, this one remaining Predator might also be the only one who's actually good at killing aliens. It cuts one of those face huggers right out of the air, then slices the head off a full-grown alien that was trying to sneak up on it. But before I started giving this thing too much credit, it also takes its mask off to mark itself with the blood of the kill, like ancient warriors do. And the last thing we see before we cut away is another face hugger flying through the air at him, right at the camera.
Yeah, so they're suggesting to us that there may be a problem here. I'm curious whether he's been infected or he's killed this thing. We're going to find out, I guess, when we cut back to that Predator. It'd be pretty sad if that facehugger grabbed him and this movie was over, right? Like, if the Predators had already lost and the aliens are there to multiply and take over the world. We kind of know that that's the worst case scenario, or at least we're about to be told 50 million times.
Well, that is true. We do get a history lesson here about how aliens really did build the pyramids, like we said, or at least taught humans to build them as a way to set up their ultimate hunt / rite of passage. But then we get a big surprise as it turns out that our Scottish guy Graham is still alive. But if you know anything about the Alien movies, he probably really, really wishes he wasn't.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So the Scottish guy who we see grab way earlier, kind of assume is dead, appears where he is captured by the aliens. It turns out that not all of them are turned into, like, alien producing creatures immediately. Some of them have to be held while the process takes its time. But he wants to survive. He's able to actually grab a gun and try to shoot one of the head crabs or the face sucker things that are trying to impregnate him. But we think it's too late for him at this point.
This, to me, best scene in the whole movie.
Wow, really? Just because so much tension is built here as he's trying to fight it off?
Yeah, because that's the thing, because like we know barely anything about this guy. The character development in this movie is fucking ass, and we should not really care if he lives or dies, but that tension where he's struggling to grab the gun and just gets the shot off in that moment is so real. But then the moment after, where he thinks he's good and the camera tilts down to show just dozens of alien eggs opening up, was fantastic. Really a great little scene.
I didn't have the same feeling. I actually think that the makeup and practical effects in that section where they have them hung up is actually decent. But I didn't have that whoa when, like, he kills the one, but then he knows that, like, it's over because there's so many other eggs. It didn't happen.
But we can get that shot where, like, we hear gunshots and he screams. Come on, man. That's good stuff.
Okay, it is not unwell done. I agree. That is a reasonable point in that movie for sure.
to be clear, I'm just saying it's a better scene than the other fucking horse shit in this movie. So, it's a low bar to clear.
So this turd was slightly larger than the rest of the bar, is what you're saying.
It was the best of the fucking shit in this movie.
It fell in the toilet, at least. It didn't hit the floor.
Yeah, man, exactly. Well, with reality setting in, Lex and Sebastian are going to need a plan to even have a chance to make it out of here. And even though she's not the history expert, it's Lex who comes up with one.
This pyramid is like a prison. We took the guards' guns, and now the prisoners are running free. To restore order, the guards need their guns.
Are you crazy? During a big game hunt, the animals been hunted. Don't arm the hunters.
They're not hunting us. We're in the middle of a war. It's time to pick a side.
We are on our side.
So if you're keeping score at home, Santa Lathan has now won both a dick measuring contest and a metaphor face-off in this movie. Big game hunt? Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
I don't think that's inappropriate in a movie with predators, though, right? I think
but that prison metaphor, that shit was airtight. Good stuff by her.
This is the enemy of my enemy shit coming up here, and she decides it's time to rearm the predators because these alien creatures are not good for us. She calls them serpents, which I think is interesting. I did not think of them as snake-like, but
I didn't think of them as fucking head crabs, but then you dropped that term in my lexicon, so you never know.
All right. New lexicon for all of us then.
There you go. The next time the pyramid shifts, they do, in fact, go looking for the predator to give it its gun. But unfortunately, they take a wrong turn down Alien Alley and have to jump across a gorge to escape. Sebastian makes it clean, but Lex ends up coming up short and hanging on for dear life, especially after an alien drags Sebastian away before she can pull herself up. She does manage to climb out herself, though, and all I could think of here was, why on earth did the alien leave without grabbing her too? That just seems way too convenient to the plot of this movie.
I found this whole fucking scene impossible to imagine. The gap that the two of them jump is fucking bullshit. This anthropologist jumps like 9 meters. The guy would be a world record holder in the long jump.
I mean, he doesn't look like he's in shape, though, just to be fair. Maybe he plays soccer.
As an Italian, yeah, I guess you could assume so. I don't know. But you're right. The alien should have grabbed her and dragged her back to impregnate her and make more aliens too. But it doesn't because it's too busy with this sexy Italian anthropologist.
Yeah, he's a nice looking fellow. That's true. No, man, like I said, it's way too convenient. And speaking of convenient, the remaining predator finds Lex right away, and she does offer up the shoulder cannon, but an alien attacks before the predator can put it on. It drops its spear in the course of the fight, and Lex picks it up before, in yet another extremely convenient event, the alien jumps directly at her and essentially impales itself. So she is on a roll right now, but will her good luck continue after the predator arms itself with the shoulder cannon?
Yes.
Yeah,
she
definitely
is the last person alive. She is the last one here. And you know what? The predator has found a co-combatant. She was able to pull up that spear at the last second and stab that alien, helping the predator take it down. And now they're going to fight together to an extent that the predator is willing to help arm her by carving chunks off of the alien to give her a spear and a fucking head shield / bitey thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. Yeah, it fashions her makeshift weapons out of the alien carcass. And if I'm being honest, I feel like that's objectively pretty cool, those weapons. And I don't want to give this movie praise, but like that's kind of a nice thing. It's got like a spear, which comes in very important later on, and that head shield, like you said. But what is not cool is what happens in our next scene, as the queen summons the aliens to where she is to free her from the shackles that she is stuck in. 7 or 8 clearly CGI aliens crawl all over her, puncturing her limbs with their mouth claw things so her acid blood will melt the metal. And I don't know about you, but at this point, I'm starting to wonder if all this makes sense mathematically. Like, are there too many aliens for the number of humans that went down into that pyramid? Because I feel like there are.
That is a good point. I wasn't questioning it at this point in the movie, but they have definitely killed, 5 aliens at this point?
It's been a couple, but like they show us the chamber room when the eggs goes up and there's like 6 humans in there. And then there's the fucking 2 soldier guys and the Scottish guy makes 9. And I swear you said they've killed 4 or 5, but in this scene, there are like 8 or 9 crawling all over her to free her. I don't think it makes sense.
That's fair. I'm not doing math at this point, though, right? Like, at this point in the movie, I'm done with math. I don't care.
You're saying reality's out the window.
It's gone. It
Yeah.
lost me a long time. This movie jumped the shark so long ago that I'm not even caring about that part. I am actually excited as a fan to see this massive mother get released, and we know that's what's going to happen based on the CG footage that you're describing here.
Oh, 100%. Now, Lex and that Predator are on the hunt, and pretty soon they find the cocoon area where all the captured humans got impregnated, or whatever the correct term is. Graham's now dead body is there, and so is Sebastian's still barely alive body. He begs Lex to kill him, reminding her that the aliens mustn't be allowed to reach the surface, and she does after a very emotional 30 seconds. The alien inside him still bursts out, though, but the Predator catches it and breaks its neck, which I'm sure some people like, but it made me fucking groan.
It was a bit much. This whole scene was a bit much, actually, because she's, like, screaming out as they're heading into this area. I was like, aren't you going to be a little bit cautious, worried about where the aliens are?
Oh my God, I thought the exact same thing. She's just like, hey, anyone here? Hello? I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady, you're giving away your position.
It didn't make any sense to me. As she is a new predator, she should be acting more as a silent killer than she is, and it's disappointing me. This was pretty groan-worthy. The creature effect wasn't great, too. It kind of reminded me of
The
Jason
tongue
Goes
from
to
Friday.
Hell.
Yeah, man, I was going to say, yeah.
Right? Like, this is, we're kind of getting
It's just
there.
going side to side. Like,
Yeah.
there's no craft.
I don't know if it was meant to show a swing in the, like, aliens had been winning the battle and are starting to lose here, maybe. I didn't know whether it was trying to tell us a message. What I do know, though, and we're about to transition to, is Big Mama's about to break loose, and I'm actually kind of excited for what this is going to bring.
Well, yeah, man, if you're saying the fucking tide is turned, it doesn't seem like it when the queen breaks free from her shackles with an assist from the probably too many aliens. Either way, she starts running wildly through the halls of this pyramid. And meanwhile, the Predator has decided for some reason that they've lost and need to blow things up. And I don't totally understand why. Like, it doesn't know the queen is free. And even with the inflated numbers, there's probably less than 10 aliens left. Is there a fucking time limit or something? Why is it blowing shit up now?
It is funny, and they do kind of the, like, worst game of charades I've ever seen in my entire life to communicate that he's going to blow everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, his hand gestures are not totally subtle, I guess is the word.
Point to arm. Arm, look, kaboom. Yes, explode. Let's run. And they just sort of take off together. He takes off his fucking exploding wristband, which we had been told earlier in the movie was in case the aliens win, right? That bomb is coming out. Now, the Predator and now human Predator Woods are about to try to run their way out of this motherfucking pyramid before it explodes and all hell breaks loose.
Well, and they do. They successfully make it back to the bottom of the tunnel where they quickly discover that the aliens made a break for it too. One of them attacks the Predator before Lex kills it with some sort of bolt gun, and she even delivers a spin on a classic Predator line before she does.
You are ugly, mother.
Now, why did they leave out the fucker part? Just another in a long line of disappointments in this movie for me.
Does that line happen in the first one?
It happens in both. Arnold Schwarzenegger says you are one of the, and then Danny Glover says it in Predator 2.
Glover is the one I remember delivering that more than Arnold, and maybe that's because we watched number 2 for the podcast, but...
Good episode, too. All the way. Episode 2, you gotta go way back in the archives to find that one.
That has got to be one of my top 10 drunkest episodes, too. It's funny that both this one and that one are probably in the top 10 of alcohol consumption, including our Christmas episodes. So I don't know, there's something about the Predator movies and me and alcohol consumption, but they pull me right to the correct place for podcasting.
I drink to forget. That's why I'm drinking in this fucking episode.
Not to remember? I drink to remember.
There you go. Those other aliens that are still there, they are preparing to pounce. But Lex and the Predator grab onto the cargo sled and hit the emergency release, which launches it back up to the surface and presumably to safety. They've got to outrun the rest of the explosion, though, and all of the collapsing whaling station infrastructure around them, but they do make it, diving onto firm ground in the nick of time. With the alien threat seemingly vanquished, the Predator pops off his mask, and I swear to God, the first time I saw this, I was like, are they going to kiss? Which would have been fucking ridiculous, but at this point, why not? Just have them make out. Who gives a shit?
This is all such incredible bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, the timing on this is obscene. The fact that they get yanked up that giant passageway by the machine in the nick of time, avoiding all the aliens after killing one, when they're running through this old whaling village as it's crumbling, is just absolutely trash, right? Like, the amount of things that are having to happen for them to survive this is beyond incredible, and there's no fucking way either the alien or Woods will survive. And we still have over 20 minutes left in this movie. I hope this is a 15-minute sex scene between Woods and the Predator, because there is nothing that is going to make this worthwhile for the next 20 minutes if they're not f***ing for that time.
No, I guess I just wanted to show her his true face, and it also takes some alien blood and marks her warrior style as well. Good timing, too, as the alien queen bursts out of some rubble and our two warriors enter the final battle. And what a battle it is. I feel like they've been doing a halfway decent job of hiding the CGI up until this point, but that all stops here, man. Jesus.
There's a lot going on here. I actually like the scene of it emerging from the ice. I like the appearance of the alien. The battling between them is a bit much. The Predator's doing quite a bit of work, and then it gets taken out by the tail of the alien mother.
Which is the most CG part of the whole Alien. No, Lex and the Predator alternate between being in danger and saving each other, with the Predator making a big save when the Queen has Lex cornered underneath like a big water tower. Now that water tower ends up teetering on the edge of the cliff, so they chain the Queen to it, but the tower catches on something, which gives the Queen the chance to impale the Predator with its tail. Lex eventually breaks the thing off with a shovel, though, which sends the tower and the Queen falling down into the frigid waters below, where they both sink down to the bottom of the Arctic Ocean. I know this all seems like a win, but bad days ahead for anyone who believes in global warming, eh?
If it can survive drowning underwater, I don't know.
We've already seen it emerge from a deep freeze. Come on.
You think it'll survive being immersed in that like Arctic lake for centuries? I don't know.
Captain America did.
You're right. Now, the Predator who was working with Woods has taken what we assume is a fatal blow to the stomach, but the wounds on it just look like some shitty fucking neon dye effects. The makeup here sucks ass.
Well, I'm confused about this too, because the neon green blood is very similar to the alien blood, only I guess like not acidic. I don't fucking know how that works. But yes, with the alien threat seriously vanquished, for real this time, Lex looks down at the Predator's dying body as it takes its last gasp. And since we both watched Predator 2, you know what's coming next. A bunch of Predators appear, decloaking themselves and their ship, and they stare Lex down hard before gifting her a weapon, grabbing the body of their fallen comrade, and then departing. But before the movie ends, we get one final tease, as back on the ship, the dead Predator's body begins to twitch, and bursting from its chest comes a Predalien, making its movie debut.
This was so predictable. This was honestly something that I called in the 15th minute of this goddamn movie.
But you said you weren't sure if it was infected or not.
I knew it was infected. You know,
you didn't
this
say
is
that
coming.
fucking 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, no. It happened so long ago. There's a few things that I have problems with throughout this ending. One, though, is Woods survived all of this to become the only survivor. They hand her the spear, making her a predator, I guess. I'm not sure.
Well, no, the other predator made her one when it put that symbol on her cheek with the alien blood.
Okay.
When they saw that, they were like, she's legit. Let's give her a fucking retractable spear.
She's standing in the, like, open of Antarctica, and she has, like, nothing on, and she is fine. Like, she is not experiencing any of the effects of weather, and it bothered me. She watches them take off in that spaceship. Is this the end of their hunting on Earth? Was this the last pyramid, and are they not coming back to it, or are they going to come back to this pyramid again?
That is a good question. The bigger question is, if this is their game and they always go to these pyramids, why was that one fucking predator in the jungle in the 80s? Or why were all those predators in LA in the 90s? Because no more pyramids, right? Why didn't they just go to this pyramid?
Maybe the jungle was near a pyramid. Maybe there was a pyramid in Los Angeles at some point.
And they were just leaving after having completed it, and they just happened to run across Danny Glover and his giant fucking head.
Well, what I'm wondering is maybe we built over the pyramid in Los Angeles, and Danny Glover was just, his head is so big you can't avoid it when you're a predator. It just appears. I watched this originally in theater because I have a friend who's a massive Aliens fan.
Okay, is it our mutual friend Alex Blonsky?
Yes, and this is why
the guy who suggested Birdemic?
Yes, I mean, that hurt both of our friendships with him with that suggestion, but and he knows that, which is fine, right? But I went and saw this in theater with our friend Alex because of his love of the Aliens movies, and obviously this was disappointing at the time and still is disappointing.
Well, I tell you what, this seems like a great time to transition to our ratings because I am, I wouldn't say excited, but I'm...
You're happy to get this over with.
I'm happy to give you my rating for this movie. So why don't we do that right now? The way we always do this, we rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 two times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable. And the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And I'm going to admit something now that brings me great shame. After watching this again for the first time since probably 2005 or 6, it is not nearly as terrible as I remember.
Yes.
It's still bad. I want to be clear about that. The character development is practically non-existent. People make choices in this that they absolutely should not make and or don't make any sense. There are continuity errors, the biggest of which I am 99% sure is that there are too many aliens. Some of the effects, though, are pretty decent, but there are also definitely a few points where they use way too much CGI, and it's painfully obvious what they're doing. That might fall more into my enjoyable category, though. Speaking of things that'll be in my enjoyable rating, there are some inconsistencies with the established Predator and Alien continuity that bothered me, which I feel like is the one thing you can't do if you're making this movie or any movie with an established popular franchise, let alone two. I talked about this in Friday the 13th, like Jason Goes to Hell. Retconning is not fucking okay. Don't fucking do that. Make a movie in the universe you've already built. Have it follow the rules. This did not totally do that. So for all these reasons, I have it as an 8 bad. How about you?
I was hoping to give this a 1 bad just so that you would get angry.
I'd be fucking furious. I would drive. We're not in the same room right now. We're unfortunately having to fucking record this like over fucking Discord because you've got COVID. Can we just say that? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't care. You can say it.
I would drive to your fucking house and like kick the door down right now and just start throwing haymakers because that's not all right.
Yeah, no, it's true. I have to play this straight. This is a bad movie. The story is PBN. Straight up paint by numbers. They did not leave enough red herrings or like surprise things in this to make it interesting for the viewer. The last 30 minutes kind of jump the shark. They just go way too far beyond what I feel is palatable. Woods as a hunter and predator did not work for me. I don't know.
Really? I thought she was like the one good thing about this movie. I thought she did a good job. Santa Latham, man. Come on.
There's not a lot of good acting in this, right? Nothing stands out as exceptional. There's a couple good voices, right? And the appearances of people are fine, right? But the acting is not that good. I thought the realism was beyond approach. Like, it was just way too far gone. There was not enough realism for me. And the last point I have for bad is, are aliens raptors now?
They behave very similar to the raptors in like Jurassic Park, I guess. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It felt like the way they made the aliens act in this movie were more like the raptors in Jurassic Park than aliens in previous Aliens movies.
That's fair. So what's your number here?
I had it as a 9 bad.
But how enjoyable did you find it on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's funny because you shit all over the introduction of the characters of this movie, and I actually kind of enjoyed
There is
that.
no introduction.
Well,
you get introduced to 2 characters, and the rest are fucking just thrown in there.
I don't disagree, yet I liked the time they took to introduce those 2. I actually wish they introduced the other 2 a little bit more. I thought there were some fun jump scares. I liked the alien characters coming. I liked Alien Mama. I enjoyed the third Predator. The first 2 were a little weak for me. I just felt like this had a ton of promise that didn't pay off. I felt like there was so much that could have happened here and didn't. So I only had this as a 6 enjoyable.
All right. So I agree with a lot of what you've just said. Not about liking the character development. It's fucking lack of character development, in my opinion. That is my, like, not my biggest issue. My biggest issue is actually how quickly 2/3 the Predators get wiped out. Like, I was looking forward to several Predators battling several aliens. And for that, I blame the trailer, because the trailer for this movie, I remember it vividly. The trailer shows that one part of the history flashback where hundreds of aliens are climbing up a pyramid and the 3 predators on top are getting swarmed, which is objectively exciting as shit. And that's the movie I thought I was getting when I first saw this, and it's not even close. I mentioned inconsistencies with the franchise. A big one is the seemingly random speed at which the people who have been impregnated get chest bursted or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. That one chick turns in like 5 minutes. It makes no sense with what we already know. They just wanted to kick this thing into high gear. But having said all that, There is still a decent amount of action here, a couple of good fights, a couple of cool moments, including the history flashback, which I liked. I enjoyed this more than I thought I would, definitely more than I did the first time around. In fact, I would actually say that I did enjoy this a little watching it this time, so I also have this as a 6 enjoyable.
All right, that's fair.
I'm a little disappointed in myself because I used to fucking hate this movie so much, and by the end I was kind of like, you know what, I might watch it again, I don't know.
Your wounds have healed.
My wounds have healed, yes.
We have remarkably similar ratings for what I thought was going to be a more disparate movie watching experience for both of us. I really wanted to play this as a troll and to make it seem like it was an amazing movie, and I loved every moment of it. But
go 1 bad and 10 enjoyable, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do it, and it would have been really fun for me and maybe the viewers to try, but I just couldn't pull it off, especially after drinking these 2 10% beers. That just wasn't on my game.
Yeah, how did you feel about these beers, by the way?
I like the coconut vanilla and coffee barrel aged Between Two Evils more. I would say of the two, that was the one that I was able to drink quicker and found more palatable.
You're not a coffee guy either, so I'm sure that the straight up coffee one was probably, I understand why it was less to your liking.
Oh yeah, way less. I was not a huge fan of the just plain coffee Between Two Evils. Not that it was a bad coffee stout, but I definitely preferred the one with vanilla and coconut more. It just
the one with what?
With vanilla. Yeah, that tells you where I am. That one was easier to drink because it had more sweetness and a bit of a smoother finish than the other one. I would say that the stout with just pure coffee, the Imperial Barrel Aged other one, was a bit more potent or abrasive. It definitely held its alcohol more. It didn't hide it in the same way, and that made it harder to drink for me.
So this is where we're gonna fucking part ways, because I actually feel the opposite. I feel like the one with the coconut and the vanilla was a little too sweet for me, and the one that was straight coffee was actually much more drinkable.
That makes sense.
You know what? Here's the best way for anyone listening to find out for yourselves. If these are both available now still, try them both. Try them both and see which one you like. We've split it up here after sort of agreeing on this movie that we thought we might go different ways on. But I have had a few other Dominion City beers, and I have enjoyed most of them. So if you are ever in the Ottawa area, or I believe they ship across Ontario for our Ontario-based listeners, give it a try. You got lots to choose from this company.
Oh my goodness, the back catalog of IPAs and pale ales and stouts, they have so much drinkable beer that you need to get your hands on. Also, the community that they bring together for this place is fucking amazing. So I definitely recommend buying from them online, buying their booze in the LCBO if you're in Ontario, or just looking for their beer wherever you can find it and going for it, because they have some tremendous offerings.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to be going for in a couple of weeks. We're going to be going for a little early 90s action when we watch a movie called Stone Cold starring football player Brian Bosworth. Are you familiar with this movie?
No. Holy shit. Brian Bosworth is super familiar to me. Does he star in anything else?
Movies? I don't know about that. He was the most famous NFL player in the world for a year or two. He was the defensive player for Seattle. White guy, fucking crew cut with a dirty fucking rat tail or a mullet, and he was a big fucking deal.
That must be where I know him from.
So much so that he got put in movies, or at least a movie.
Is this where Steve Austin gets his character name from?
I can't imagine that's true, but we are going to be drinking the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer in 2 weeks as part of this episode. So that's something. That's our connection.
Shit, I do know that he made his own beer, and that's what we're going to be drinking for the movie?
And it's a fucking IPA, so you'll be right at home, man. This will be a good time.
I'm fucking excited for this. This is going to be a good time. Stone Cold, starring Brian Bosworth.
There you go.
With a beer from Steve Austin himself. Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, man. If you are a fan of 90s action or 90s NFL football players or Stone Cold Steve Austin, you're definitely going to want to join us in 2 weeks for Stone Cold, starring Brian Bosworth. But before then, if you have not already, please follow us on social media at the BMB Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
Send us emails to thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. We love to hear from you, even though our 4th season is starting to wind down. We thank you for joining us today for Alien vs. Predator. We hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for Stone Cold. But until then, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep it unreal. just like this fucking movie.
Whoever wins, we lose.